Hey everyone, so I want to give a really brief testimony to Kambo Aligned Montana and Jessica Hupka. This isn't going to be necessarily brief, but I will do a shorter one and that will lead way into this video, which you guys are all watching here on YouTube. So I've been studying Kambo, just researching in terms of it's something that I would like to do for the past 3 years now. I came across it when I was living up in Missoula. I knew that Sarah Shafkin and her partner Peter were offering it at Sacred Ally, and she and I had a lot of conversation around it, in terms of treatment of Lyme disease. I was really nervous about it because after I got the vaccine, I started to kind of have like heart palpitations from the vaccine itself. And so I would be, resting and my heart rate would kind of spike and increase. And so that made me really nervous about Kambo, just because it is not like an hallucinogenic experience. It is more of a body experience where your heart rate spikes and your body temperature increases. And, there's all of like the horror stories that you hear out on Google of, things happening to folks. And so I really went back and forth for a while in terms of if this was something that I wanted to do. Just all across the board. I've never necessarily been called to other big types of plant medicine aside from cannabis, and so I decided that I would kind of wait and put the conversation of Kambo on hold, especially while I was still experiencing that heart stuff after the vaccine. So I got sick in February of 2001, I believe, or maybe it was February 2002. Anyway, I got really sick. I tested negative for COVID, but I had very heavy flu-like symptoms, and I was really exhausted, and I feel like that had never really gone away. And then when I moved down to Billings, I went through just a period of a lot of stress. I will say when I moved out to Missoula, I had gone through a period of a lot of stress during COVID. I experienced a space of a lot of fear. I felt like I kind of was in and out of bouts of depression, and I just didn't necessarily know what was wrong because I had never really experienced anything like that before. So when I got down to Billings, I got down here in June of this past year, 2022, and this past spring I got sick again, and to the point where I was just absolutely exhausted. Again, I went through kind of a whole digestive thing, and was really sick on that end. And when I was really exhausted, it just never kind of went away. I would still wake up every single morning really, really groggy, and not feeling like I could necessarily get out of bed, and really having to kind of will myself out of bed. And it really was, I think it was a space of both mental fatigue and also physical fatigue. And emotional fatigue, right? All of the things that have kind of been going on with everything in the world. And, there's a lot of factors in this. So I, want to take that into account. And that being said, I also started, when I got sick in the spring, I started to just have feelings of just ongoing an ongoing sense of nausea, every day, all day. And that's kind of been going on since April. So I decided I was going to revisit looking into Kambo, and was thinking about going back up to Sacred Ally and doing a session up there. But I've just kind of been back and forth a lot lately, and so I wanted to kind of really ground and root here. And Jessica's social media came across my Instagram feed a couple of weeks ago, and and then I saw her information at Limbertree, where I was teaching like the next day, and kind of took that as like a sign to reach out to her. And so I reached out. We had a nice long conversation on the phone, just kind of talking about all the things that I'm telling you all about, things that I've been experiencing, also things I've been experiencing throughout the course of my life, which, you know, has been like heavy menstrual cramping and like ovarian like cysts that I've had that like ruptured when I was in college, and you know, never necessarily feeling like completely like whole and like balanced. And I told her about the heart palpitations and stuff I'd experienced through COVID, and so she went and checked with all of her mentors, and she really took a moment to really kind of consider my case before taking me on as a client, but she agreed. So I had said that my birthday gift to myself was going to be a Kambo session. So I sat with her yesterday. We did it here in my home, which I was really comfortable with, because it was my own bathroom and my own space, surrounded by, you know, pictures and people that I love, like, and things that mean things to me, in my space and on my walls. And it was just such a wonderful experience. So for folks that aren't familiar with Kambo, it's all about like the peptides, that it comes from a secretion from a frog, and she works with folks out of Peru specifically. I will let her kind of speak more to the background of Kambo, and will encourage you all to like do your research on it as well. It's been around for, you know, thousands of years, and all of the like secretions and things are ethically sourced from like the frogs themselves with the tribesmen down in Peru. And essentially what happens is they burn like three little like with a piece of like wood that she essentially lights on fire, and it's a topical like burn. This is not like a scarring like burn. There's an actual like ointment that she puts on like at the end to cover up like the burn like marks themselves. And so within like the first 5 minutes of like the first, they call these gates, within the first 5 minutes, I started to just kind of feel heat in my body. I slowly started to feel my heartbeat like really fast. I just kind of came together with my breath. And I should say, before the session started, I sat, and she had me drink like a small like mason jar of water. Water is very important in the process. She was very, very thorough in terms of giving me instructions, both through the folks that she sources her sticks from, but then also, I should say like the Kambo sticks from, but then also something like for myself as well, like via text that I could read through. So needing to kind of like fast 7 hours from food the day before, at least an hour and a half before the session in terms of like fluid. So I felt like very well hydrated and ready when I sat down into it. She gave me the glass of water. I set my intention. I drank the water. We did the gates, and then we applied the Kambo. And like I said, I started to feel heat build in my body. My heart started to kind of beat pretty quickly. My fingers and my toes began to tingle, and I felt there was kind of like a constricting of breath, but at the same time I was still able to breathe fluidly, openly. It was more like a tightening that happened within my body. And then from there, she asked if we wanted to go on and apply more Kambo to like the second gate. And we did. And Some folks apparently like purge, either upper or lower purge. We all know what that is, right? Within it, some people may pass out during it. Some people might shake, some people might cry. I think the biggest sensation that kind of came over me in it was I'm kind of on the verge of crying throughout all of it, but was able to really like use my breath to control any emotion that was kind of rising up within me. And then after the second gate, I told her that I felt like I needed just to lay down. So we did it on the floor. I laid down and kind of just talked with her throughout like the whole thing. I was able to really kind of hold and like maintain like myself, thankfully and gratefully. And she held really incredible space for me while I was able to do that. And then within that 20, essentially you only get those 20 minutes in terms of like the application. So we closed it up. I continued to kind of like slowly come out of it. My heart like rate like dropped. I never got really cold. I just felt more exhausted than anything else. Like I had kind of like ran a marathon, but hadn't necessarily used my muscles to do it. It is more of like a heart and a lung thing. The tingling in my fingers kind of continued. And then that was kind of like the end of the session. She had brought all the things that she needed with her. She brought buckets in case I needed to purge. One bucket stayed in the living room with us. One bucket we put in the bathroom. You know, we closed things up. She applied the little ointment at the end, and that was it. It took probably, we stayed and chatted for a while after, but it probably took about an hour altogether, maybe, just to kind of like set intention, get set up, do the Kambo session itself. And then she left, and I laid down and closed my eyes and took a nap for a while, and went about my day. I felt really good for the majority of the day. I went and had something to eat. I ate a little bit later in the evening. I continued to hydrate. I did end up kind of like, I would say, kind of purging at the end of the night. And I didn't force myself to do it, obviously. And then after that, I went to bed, and I woke up this morning with no nausea and feeling better than I have in, I don't even remember when. With no exhaustion, with a different like sense of like freedom. Like I felt like peppy. I felt inspired to dance. I felt all of these things like that I feel like used to be always built into the joy of like me on like the day-to-day. And I'm excited to kind of see how it processes through my body for like the next month or so. It is something that I'm going to do again. I think after the first session, I think my anxiety around it has obviously like lessened. And I feel really, really incredible. Like to the point like where I could like cry about it, y'all. Because I haven't felt this good for a long time. So I just want to express this gratitude. I wanted to give folks, you know, a video that if you're thinking about Kambo, I'm open to answering any questions. Jessica was incredible. If you're up in Missoula, please reach out to Sarah up there as well. You know, I think that this is, Jessica very much is like, she just wants to be able to spread the message about it and give access to people when it comes to the medicine. And I feel that, you know, as a yoga teacher, I've always felt that like movement itself is medicine. And my whole goal within the practice has always been to make the practice of yoga itself as accessible to people as possible. And so she and I are very much in alignment in that space and sense. And so hoping to collaborate with her and do some things. So again, if anyone has any questions about my experience or some of just like the physical things I've been going through, and I will continue to give you guys some video updates as I kind of process throughout the course of this month. My hope is to do kind of like a 3-day reset in August, just to kind of see how that can kind of push some more of like this chronic long-term stuff that I've been dealing with, to see if it gives it some like release like within that sense. But all in all, y'all, I feel like if it's something that you've been considering, or if this is coming across your feed now and you're like, wow, I might really be interested in this, I do think that to reach out to Jessica here in Montana and to look for certified Kambo practitioners. The company that she works directly with is Kambo Align, or excuse me, I'm gonna mess that up, y'all. So let me like just double check again. It's Tribal Detox, the Kambo experience. I would recommend, I trust both Sarah up in Missoula and Jessica here in Billings to be able to lead you all safely and effectively, and with a sense of love and care for you through the process. So that being said, I hope everyone has a great day, and I hope to see you all very soon. Peace and love.